Hello. Today I'm going to share my experience with work. It started with on my 17th birthday when I made a promise to myself to raise money by getting a job. So I found myself for the next 2 months on the search of a mid-time job that accepted young people like me. And it was a very challenging activity because some of them were really far away from my home and some of them require me to work on Sundays. So it was a tough decision. And so I I don't make decisions very fast. So my mom told me, "Why don't you ask the lady, the lady, the owner of the place where you take dance lessons, and ask her if you could give a class for beginners?" And it was a pretty good idea because it was close to my house, to my home, and it was just 2 days a week, and it was a pretty good deal. It was not that much money, but it was money, and I just needed for my needs for blouses and or the movie theater or something like that. So it was a pretty good idea, and I went for it, and I got the job. It was challenging first because I had to find some um, girls that wanted to take my class. So I was given pamphlets to people on the street, and I was telling them, "Oh, it's a pretty good class. It's a worldwide master dancer that was going to be there." And I didn't have a lot of students first, but it was a pretty funny class. I loved it. It was a time when you could enjoy the music and the laughs, and I loved it. I loved the environment. I loved the job. I loved the activities I have to do because it required for me to give my attention, creativity, and preparation. And I think I improved my dance skills and as the time I was preparing for them because I wanted to them to have good classes, the worldwide classes I promised. And so it was all going pretty well. And a few months later, I was starting to deal with my depression, and the things I used to love, I didn't even like them. So it was pretty. I was worried because a lot of things of my personality were changing, and but I couldn't allow this thing change because I loved what I was doing there. So I held in on those lessons, and they were like my support on all these episode. Because my beliefs were attacked too and were affected, and the only thing that I was sure about it was my love to this to dancing to help people to know how to dance or something like that. um I feel so blessed right now that I had the job back then. I think without it my recovery would have been a lot harder and difficult and longer than it was. I think those lessons kept me sane on what I was doing because it was a time when I could lose all my problems. I couldn't think about the things that were happening in my head. Just feel the music and the laughs with the girls and the fun we were having. Uh, I know it was not. the most difficult job ever, but I think I made a good work because sometimes I see the girls on the street and they tell me you're the best teacher ever, and it's so fulfilling for me because I was doing my effort to do that, and it worked good for me too because now I am good, and I can see that the job I had, it was a blessing, a total blessing, and I think that's it. Please, if you have any questions of any part of my story, please let me know, and thank you so much for listening. Ah, bye.